Hey guys, Ryan KRUESI, KRUESI Originals. We are building a 2023 Road Glide with a 135-inch Harley Davidson motor in it, and today we are going to cut the back half of a $1,000 carbon fiber fender apart. I might really mess this up, so stay posted. This tiger's got a rip in its paw. Meow. Well, I gotta drag this thing next door. It's real heavy. Trent? Trent? Need your help. We're gonna drag this over to the fab side, and then I'm gonna do some taping. I'm gonna do a lot of imagination time, staring at this thing and seeing which way I wanna go, and then we're gonna mount a license plate bracket up here as well with a tail light and some other shit. Not really a tail light, more of a license plate light. Then I'm going to tear the rest of the stuff off of it, send it all to powder coat today. Everything is going to go to paint today. Then I believe I just got a little bit of buttoning up stuff to do, like chain drive kit. Oh my God, we're going to weld this guy together later this week. This is the primary for the mid controls. I got to weld this guy inside, machine this shaft, make all that stuff work. That's still going down, but today I'm going to start out with the World's Strongest Man, Medric's World's Strongest Man motorcycle drag competition. This is a team competition because, let's face it, I ain't what I once was, and I still once will blow my ass back all the way out through my ass if I pull that by myself.
You pulling or pushing?
I'll probably pull.
I'll push.
Oh, this fender is brightly in the way.
Ready?
Yep. Beautiful. It's all in the glutes. The glutes are really fired up right now. I feel like they're pumped. I'm gonna get some protein in me and maybe some whey carbohydrates. And then I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna cut the ass off this thing, you heard?
Me a beautiful shirt. I went to the Corvette show, I'm just remembering. And of course...
Hey, how was the Corvette show? That is right up my alley, Joe.
It is right up your alley. And the yellow matches the shirt with the KRUESI Originals on it.
Oh, man. It's a big head kind of hat, too. Nice. What do you think?
Well,
This is my new Crafting with KRUESI hat. All right, welcome back, NASCAR fans. Ryan KRUESI here, back in the pits today. Today we're adding on a real stellar fucking race bar right here from Santora Fabworks. This thing will get you around the track in at least 3 seconds flat. That's circle track. You know what I'm talking about? Be a lot better if it was a Busch Light. Yes, so we're back. Joe bought me a hat. Thanks, Joe. It's a good one. I got to put the rails back on because I need to put the fender on here so I can look at this guy. I got to put these rails back on, so I don't want to put stock ones back on. We're putting Santora Fabworks cage on it, so I'm just putting this shit on right now. I got real sidetracked with Joe there for a little bit, but we're back. If you guys haven't seen any of the videos with Smoke and Joe, you should check him out because he is an 83-year-old wild man. He's out wilding out right now. But I'm going to install these guys. What the f***? The powder coat does not look very good on this one. There's a whole bunch of powder coat that was not powder coated up here, so me installing this is a huge waste of time because now I got to send it to the powder coater. Look at that, it's not powder coated on the top, mind you. Shit happens. We also powder coat parts, and that shit happens, but god damn it, it's very inconvenient. So I'm going to send this to the powder coater, but I'm going to mock it up today so I can get this thing done and everything else. I got to find a bag rail, put it on the bottom, and then I'm just going to throw some saddlebags on, and then I'll start taping and imagination time. Sorry, Joe, but that is not my style of hat. I will put it with my Corvette things that I have. That looks like a podium hat. This is the stock bag rail. You have to cut the shit off the end of it. And then slide her up into yonder thing. taking all this stuff off again and again and putting it on and taking it off, but if I'm gonna put the bags on and build the fender, I want everything like sitting exactly where it's gonna be sitting when the bike's final assemble. So everything's gotta be dialed, nice and straight, nice and snug. I gotta find one of these dudes now. The fender's not very straight. Fender is very crooked. It's like this. Whoop. I'm gonna take the bags off and break the bolts loose and try and cheat it. I mean, I already knew that the fender was crooked to start with, but I thought I cheated it enough already, but it does not look that way, and I don't know if I can. I might just have to work with what I got, but it is not a straight fender at all. Like here, the plane of the bike, and then the seam and the plane of the fender goes like this. Give yourself a nice line of sight down the seam, right down the backbone and down the back of the tire, which the wheel is aligned right now also. And you can see that it goes way off over here, so do the sidewalls. So that's going to be fun to work with. So really in these situations, you can kind of cheat up one side and give the illusion that it looks straighter than it is. But just so when you guys come up and look at this thing and go, man, that fender doesn't look that straight. This is probably why. You never know, I might get it straight. I might be able to work some magic and make it look pretty straight. I did with my soft tail and it was bent. Honestly, I'm just trying to stay real positive right now. This is gonna be a huge in the ass. I'm gonna pull the bags off and break everything loose and then try and manipulate it a little bit. And I hopefully can get it to twist in there. If I can't, then it just is what it is. Not only do I have to disassemble everything to adjust the fender, I have to disassemble everything back here just to get to the fender bolts. It's great. Come on, bud. Just to get to this one guy right here. All that's gonna come off. I can get to the back ones, but you can't get to the front ones. I popped these out hoping I could cheat and go through the hole for those, but it's too big. My tool's too big for the hole anyways. Life problems. That's as good as it's going to get, and it is not straight at all. The center line, where the seam line was right down this edge of the tape. So I just went from center and cheated it over the thickness of the tape just to move the center line over to see if the center line was pulling tricks on my eyes. But even moving the center line over, it's still, this side's fairly tight on the edge of the tire, and this side is outside of the belt almost. I'm gonna put the bags back on. I gotta put all this shit back together, and I'm gonna put the bags back on. I didn't move shit. It didn't move much. It was already pulled up as high as it would go. I didn't make any changes. But I'm gonna put the bags back on. I'm gonna run some tape lines across here and see if I can get anything to look kosher, but it still doesn't matter. The gap between this side of the fender and this side of the fender to tire is like this on this side and this on this side, which when the bags are on and it's on the ground, you may never notice that. But for me, it's sitting up here and looking at it, it's gonna drive me nuts, I'm gonna be honest. And I don't know. I'm gonna give it as a best go that I can to make it look as good as I think it should look, and if not, then we might take a different option. But I'm definitely not gonna cut into this $1,000 fender until I figure out how to make this look right. The height of the fender, it's also lower on this side, considerably lower than this side over here, so there's also that to deal with. I'm kind of just eyeballing this shit right now, and I'm gonna play with this a whole bunch. Try and keep my line even. And then when I get it somewhere I actually think I like it, then I'll pull some measurements and make it accurate. The twist really starts showing when I start laying anything out on it. Especially when I follow the cut line on the bottom, I just mimic that side, and man, it was. in my brain. So it goes low right here and it goes down and it got this twist. He wants me to cut this whole like dovetail off of it, and there's a lot of stuff I'm not cool with that. Like, for one, I don't like chopping fenders that came the way they came. I normally would just leave this alone because it is a good body line already, but he just doesn't want any kick out. But the way this fender is shaped, it cuts in right here before it goes out. So if I was to cut this off, it would look like a dog tucking his tail and running away. It's gonna have like this weird, it's gonna look like it's tucking real hard. It's not gonna be good. So I don't want to, I want to try and get rid of this little duck bill with still keeping a little bit of a contour out, because otherwise it's gonna look stupid. And when you cut carbon fiber, it tends to blow up from time to time and go. So there's also that. That'll be cool. But for now, I'm gonna get some levels. I'm gonna make some lines, and I think I'm gonna cut it right there after I make it look, you know, beautiful and shit. It's time. I'm gonna cut it. Cross your fingers. Yeah, it's great. I cut it off, and I just manipulated this side a little bit higher to make that wow look a little more in plane with everything, and I think it worked. The tape's still on. We can't get like a final look, but it looks a whole lot straighter. It does look quite a bit better. I'm actually a lot happier with it than I thought. I was just kind of worried about doing it, and like when I build a Fender or something, I measure in and I want everything like center on center on center, you know, like dialed. I have like a real problem with shit being a little cockeyed and things. Starting out with a crooked Fender with whatever issues I have. So it was a little challenging there from the get-go, because I gotta have things right or I go nuts. But it looks good. It turned out very, very well. I'm gonna clean it up, smooth out my work, check everything with a straight edge, and then next is putting on a license plate bracket. So I have to center that thing too. Got a little homemade sanding block. Apparently mine's at my house. You can't make carbon perfect every time. It's a blanket. It does what it wants to do. So, I mean, this isn't on the company that makes the Fender. This is just carbon. This is just, carbon's not gonna lay out perfect. No matter, I don't give a who you are. It's a woven blanket of really dense material that wants to do what it wants to do. So you kind of get the best of what you get. But this is gonna have a perimeter painted around the fender, and the center will be carbon. So the perimeter is gonna have to be, you can see the seam line goes, yep, and jogs off. Like the center line's right here. And goes, yeah, and jogs way off. So if we just run a perimeter of nice gloss paint, cover that, it'll manipulate everything. I got that thing spot on, it just so happens. I'm pretty good at doing this shit. And that thing looks dialed. Little hand sanding. It's all about just like real patience and just finessing the shit out of it, like tiny bits at a time. Never go, I'm just gonna take this off and see what happens, because what's gonna happen is gonna be shit. It's gonna suck. It's gonna turn into more work. So if you just, this will be all edited and stuff, and you won't see how long I really put into sanding this thing, but it's all about patience and sculpting and really taking your time. Patience. Patience is a virtue. This is probably the only thing I have patience with in the entire world, to be quite honest with you. Now I'm going to get started on finding a dead center on this thing, and where the put the license plate bracket. I'm gonna go show you what that is. I'm pretty sure it's a nice custom dynamics. That's mostly what we use around here. We'll get that all figured out. I gotta lay out some measurements, and then I'll show you how I measure this shit out and set it up and all that jive. Stay posted after this commercial break from your local sponsor. Sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled program, but I would just like to tell you guys that 2013 I started KRUESI Originals. So 2023 has been 10 years. So we dropped these shirts. They're live right now. These are a 10-year anniversary shirt for KRUESI Originals, and they'll only be live while they last. So go get them. Thank you very much. KRUESIOriginals.com. This is how I did it. I taped it up. Back to a serious note. I already did all the work for the most part. Everybody was gone, and I had headphones in and just kept working, so it's done. But what I did is I found center. This center line is not center, but this guy is centered, and it is centered from edge to edge off center of the fender. Center, center, center upon center. And then this guy goes, she's off a little bit, but I don't think you'll notice it when this has got a license plate and all that shit in it, because it'll chop the lines. But it does go, it gets considerably worse here, and then here it goes off about a ½ inch. So we're probably going to run, I got to talk to the painter, but hopefully we got to run some kind of paint line up here, or it's going to bug the f out of me. That's what it's going to do. But it's going to be striped out, so we'll figure something out with that. This looks really true. I did a little more hand sanding right here. I raised this side just a tiny bit more. I was staring at it a bunch more this morning. But she looks beautiful. It looks a lot straighter now. I just opened this gap up a little bit under here to give the illusion of more space, so she looks pretty dialed. I'm pretty stoked. Wiring's already ran through. I'm gonna put a stick-on Dyna harness underneath, so it'll be kind of like a OEM wire for this guy. And other than that, she's dialed. The brake lights are gonna go in here. This is gonna go to powder coat today, and then all the shit's going to paint today. The other shit's already gone. Do I really need to do anything else? I guess I'm not even going to final bolt this thing because it's going to go to paint. I'm just about done with this bike, so I'm going to tear it apart. We'll give you a nice final when it's all said and done and blah, 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 and all that shit. Watch me take it apart. Watch me take it apart now. I'm going to oversize all these holes just to give myself adjustability when I put it back together. She's got a little splintery. Just from drilling holes, and you just saw how nice I was to it. Still, cutting and drilling carbon is a bitch. That's why I hand sanded most of this with a block, because you could just be lightly sanding along and catch a little bit of these fibers right here and go poof and just blow it out like a ducktail out the back. So it's better to do it by hand. This I can't really do by hand, so this will all be covered. It'll look really nice. And this is gonna get painted again anyways, so it's not like fiberglass just chips away. This just etches away like glass. It's pretty nice. Beautiful. Yep, that's it. It's time to tear it down and take her to paint. That's it. I'm done. Everything's tore apart. Everything is going to powder coat. I got to pull that one guy off right there and get it repowder coated. And that's about it. Now we just kind of sit and wait. Next week we'll be welding up the inner and outer primary, starting on the mid controls. Hopefully by the time that's done, all the paint is back and we start assembly and getting this thing on the road. Like, subscribe, ring that bell, tell 7 friends, and go to KRUESIOriginals.com. It's all your dope shit. Peace! Stupid. And when you cut carbon fiber, it tends to blow up from time to time and go. So there's also that. That'll be cool.